I did not press record.
Oh, right. So we're
whole thing?
Oh,
what's the next question? No, but to answer your no, but seriously, to answer.
Are you recording now?
It's the red's there recording. I'm thinking, I don't do this all the time, Manfred.
Yeah.
Recording.
Did you get the first part?
I didn't get it. It's just what we're recording is right now. So
right.
You're running because your grandfather was a trustee. You thought you were going to be a trustee all your life. You're a trustee for 7 years. 3 years ago, you decided to be county commissioner, and 2 years ago, you committed to it, and been running basically ever since.
Mm-hmm. So coming to Goose Creek, why do you think that nothing did materialize?
Well, I think that there's a lot of unanswered questions too. I mean, but I mean, the thing that I still don't understand is we had all the money invested. We had our neck stuck out, and it was, you know, again, it comes back to, it seems like we didn't have an exit strategy, or we didn't have a, you know, to the JRS. I mean, the one thing that I will say, you know, there was some negativity about Goose Creek. I mean, I think that, you know, the negativity came back on the JRS. I mean, you know, there was a lot of negative letters going to Columbus to answer, you know, and
I wonder who's stuck.
And I guess my point is, so did Shonda fail? No, I don't think she did. Did the naysayers speak louder than the yay-sayers? Yes, and that did not help the
naysayers articulate a better argument against it than they could for it? I think in the end, that's what it has to be. And we'll go back to at the initial start of the partnership, when Matt Appenzeller was over here, and they did the thing, they interviewed 50 people or something to that effect, and I took that interview. I remember sitting across from the guy doing the interview, and he brought up Goose Creek. I said, there's people out there that don't want it. And he looked at me like I was from Mars. And he goes, so it's, you know, basically it's going to happen. And I said, no, it's not. It was shot down the last time. We're more organized than that this time. That was before the second one.
Yeah.
And then we get to the third one, and Dave wanted that thing out of trail, thinking it was going to, you know, it just flopped historically. But, you know, I'm going to throw this out. I think they keep going to the same group of people, and they keep getting the same yes answers. Instead of asking the people that stand in opposition, or maybe in opposition, what would it take you to get on board?
Yeah.
Because when you have a group that can put a better argument together and take the time to do so than they can, or use their own numbers against them, you have a problem. And you know, you want, you know, not Shonda. That's fine. She came in and she was stuck with the second one, but they were all of them were all in on that third one. Yeah.
Well, and it's, I think, you know, sometimes it's the loudest person wins. So if the loudest people are naysayers, you know, I mean, let me just ask you, you know, if you have a meeting and 100 people show up, that means 42,000 must be okay with it too. I think you could look at it that way. I mean, it's just
not necessarily.
Well, I'm not saying that's the case, but just like tonight, you know, I think. You know, I think attendance is important, and it seems like, you know, if everybody's okay with it, hey, I'm okay with it, I'm not going to the meeting. I'm not saying that's the case, but I do think that there's people that are for it and there's people against it.
Oh, there was people for it.
Do I think Goose Creek would work? Yes, I do. But I also think other things may work also.
Actually wants economic development. Because by now, if you went to the meetings, it was clear that there was a little hustle between Camden, they wanted some development. But there was not really something where people wanted economic development. Does this community actually want economic development?
I hope so.
Well, but that's the reason why that failed. Because there was no communication between people who live in this community. Everybody. Well, some people are satisfied at the level where they're at. Is that the kind of community we are? It's not if we should be that.
I agree.
Well,
I think, you know, for running for county commissioner, I can't answer that question. I hope that people want to grow.
But you should.
If you're not growing, you're dying.
You're representing the people. Yeah. You should know what people want.
Well, but if I go talk to 100 people over here, 20 may against it. If I go, I guess what I'm saying is we have to make good decisions. And I think that's what elected officials should be trusted to make good decisions. I'm a pretty successful business person. You know, I listen to my customers. We give our customers the service that they need. When you're looking at economic development, if as a local leader, if the community says we don't want to grow, we know that's not acceptable. As leaders, we need to keep jobs here. We want more jobs. You know, I had a guy up in Lewisburg up at Derby Days, totally against economic development. Totally, and then I started talking to him about, do you want your grandkids to have to leave state to go get a job? Well, no. And this was an older fella, so they want the best of both worlds. They don't want to grow, but they don't want their families to leave. So I think we need to educate our community that, guys, this isn't about growing. This is about keeping your families here. This is about good paying jobs. This is about, you know, we're gonna, if we don't continue to increase our tax dollars, it's got to come from somewhere. I mean, we need business. Do we want skyscrapers in Preble County? No, we don't.
Okay,
but we want good small business.
So you would say that we needed Goose Creek as the essence of economic development?
No, not at all.
Okay, what do we need then?
I'm a firm believer in being involved with the Economic Development Partnership. I believe in base hits and bunts. If you can step up and hit it out of the park every once in a while, and you're not swinging for the fence, that's acceptable. Pratt Industries is a great example of that. 140 jobs.
Right.
I mean, Shonda Combs and Jeff Seward. I mean, single-handedly, you know, just hit it out of the park on that. That doesn't happen every day.
Now, hold on there. I'll agree, it's a great thing to have Pratt Industry, but I think there's a line of thought out there, or a line that's being put forth out there, and maybe you can correct me since you're with the economic development, that they recruited Pratt Industry. And there's another line out there that Pratt Industry approached Lewisburg.
Yes.
Yes.
Pratt Industry had 3 locations that they could select. And with the Port Authority, I mean, we didn't necessarily go out and take, they came to the community. They actually contacted the community.
Right.
But I guess the thing is, once you catch the fish, you got to make sure they don't get off the hook too.
Well, the other line, a sideline was that, there's 3 places and we're in competition with the other 2. Pratt Industry, a month or so before the president was here, he was over in Indiana. They're building one just like it in Indiana. And they approached the community. And right here, you say they were approached.
They were definitely approached. Jeff Seward didn't go get them, but I think, like I said, once you get their attention, you have to keep it. And we had to do a lot of things, and they jumped through a lot of hoops to get them here.
You understand was here, I think, in this article, they say they came and asked, what can you do for us? We would like to build this recycling thing. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's a great thing to have. I think where you run into problems sometimes is the overhyping of some of the things that were actually done. If they were wanting to come in the first place and you're dotting all the I's for them and crossing the T's, that's a little bit different than saying we hit a home run because we went, leaving the impression we went out and we found these guys.
No. I think getting the Port Authority. I mean, there was a lot of money. I mean, I'm not saying that we went out. I'm not saying we got in a car and went out and drove and found these guys and brought them here. Good. I'm not saying that at all. But I think we closed the deal. I'll put it that way. We closed the deal. That's what, and I call that hitting the.
Let me ask you a question on the announcement last week that Kettering is going to be out here at the medical center. The county sold them that property for $1, which I think is a great investment. But at the time they were doing that, back in 2010 or 11, when Judge Dews was in there, they were talking about it creating a $500,000 revolving loan fund, which dwarfs the current loan fund by what, 10, 12 times?
Yeah.
Is that, I didn't see any coverage of that. Is that revolving loan fund, was that, see, this is where I get into things like the Pratt. We used that revolving loan fund. I mean, it's great they're coming anyhow, but when you mention something like that, what's the progress on the, and I'm not holding you responsible, but what's the progress on that $500,000 revolving loan fund? They go, one of the things Dave always likes to talk about, I think, is with Mercer County up here or something that has the 4% unemployment all the time. They've got the largest revolving loan fund in the state. So a revolving loan fund, I remember when they were over in Lewisburg. You guys said the greatest thing we ever did was start a revolving loan fund and grow it.
Right.
What's the progress?
Are you talking of our revolving loan fund?
No, on the one that was mentioned for the, over at when,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to research that, because this, I have not heard of that, so, but, I mean, I know a lot about our revolving loan fund with the Economic Development Partnership, but that's the first I've heard of that.
$500,000.
That'd be huge.
It sure as heck would.
Yeah.
So, but coming back to the economic development, so okay, so according to you, you hit a home run with Shonda and the commissioners with Pratt Industries.
Well, when I say that, I'm saying Shonda and Jeff Seward. Those two did all the work. That's what I'm trying to drive home. You know, the commissioners, we can talk about the commissioners all we want. The commissioners, and I sit on the executive committee for the Economic Development Partnership. I had very little to do with it because our leaders of the community and the leader of our partnership did the work. So I want to make sure that, our commissioners shouldn't take credit for Pratt Industries, and our partnership did a great job. But again, sitting on the executive, I'm going to be the first one to tell you that I didn't do a lot to handle that. I mean, Shonda did her job, and so did Jeff Seward as a village administrator.
Let me ask you this, since so many of these places do have village administrators, and Seward having come from Brookville where they got this, who's to say that, I mean, obviously Preble County existed before we had Shonda Combs.
Sure.
And businesses came here and left before we had Shonda Combs. Who's to say he couldn't have handled getting Pratt Industries, who approached him in the first place about coming?
Yeah, I think when I look at the partnership, it's a marketing note. It's a networking and marketing arm of the county. I've heard when businesses close, it's not the partnership's fault. We can't be if a business, because I've been approached when we lose businesses, why didn't you guys keep them? Well, if a business is not running efficiently, it's not the partnership's role to make sure that a business is making good management decisions. If you make poor management decisions, you are going out of business, no matter if we have a partnership.
Okay, so coming back to the Goose Creek, I want to get that thing resolved.
Okay.
So what, in your estimation, would have made that successful? In other words, you said you were initially in favor of that project, if there would also be an exit strategy. But in this intermediate period, well, how do you feel, what could have been done better? Because everybody was for it as commissioners go. They didn't ask the community.
I think.
Agree?
Oh yeah.
Good.
Transparency.
What should have happened?
Transparency.
Okay.
Everything should have been out there.
Okay.
I've told people this many times. I was not there because I wasn't super involved yet.
Yeah.
At National Trail Schools, I was told by several good sources that say there was 10 questions asked, 5 of them couldn't be answered.
I was there.
If you have that type of a project with that many dollars and you can't answer one question, the deal's off.
Okay.
You have to be you need to be able to answer all 10 questions confidently.
Let's do a rerun. So you would have been on there. What would have you done to bring industry here, and why would the industry which you would have selected come here? What would have you done different?
Is this a Goose Creek question?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you were in favor of Goose Creek. So
well,
what would have you
again,
done?
Goose Creek, is more or less, it's kind of, I don't want to say, I've heard the build it and they will come. I can tell you that I've been sat in multiple meetings where if we would have had a place like Goose Creek, we have one right now, where people don't come in and say, hey, we want to move in a year. Will you go ahead and build your, put your infrastructure in? They're ready to move in now. So if you're not prepared, you're never going to get that business. Now, as a county, we needed to say, do we want that kind of business? Do we want to prepare, for those kind of businesses that need infrastructure? Or do we want to do what we've been doing in the past? And I think if you look at our past, it's not working that great. Because you look at all these empty buildings that we have. Here's the other question. We've got all these empty buildings. If we can't fill these empty buildings, then why are we going to
name some?
The Carter structure, the next one beside it where they were building
them? You mentioned the Carter structure, and I'm not going to pin it. But you also want to take credit as the partnership. Let's say the partnership wants to take credit for doing retention visits. When was the last time anybody from the partnership approached 84 Lumber before them announcing they were closing?
I honestly can't answer that. You'd have to ask Shonda.
This goes back to claims of crony capitalism, okay, and economic development with regard to partnership.
She has a business retention visit program, and to be honest, you'd have to. I don't.
She's been there 3 years, so there should be an answer there.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: websites, crony capitalism. Now, she's on record in the chamber saying she does, and I'm not going to mention, in fairness to the company, and I'm sure there's others, does their website for them. Now, what is the criteria or the threshold where a company can approach her and say, will you do me a website? And do we really want an economic development director building websites? I mean, we hired a secretary because she was supposedly so busy, and I'll agree that there's, it's more than one person can handle. But should that be the job of the economic development director? And what's the threshold where you cross where somebody, a lot of these businesses around here don't have?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go back and answer his question real quick because I've got like 20 questions on right now. But yeah, I think the big thing is on Goose Creek is transparency, honesty, and doing your homework. And again, having that plan in place. We kind of put the cart before the horse, but I still believe that something like Goose Creek can make it in Preble County. The thing is, we got to get people, you got to sell it. You got to get buy-in. You have to let people, the biggest thing that I hear about Goose Creek is they didn't trust anybody. And I'll tell you, as soon as that happens, you're done. Stick a fork in it. So you got to have people. You got to gain people's trust. And be open. And I think that's one of the things. Transparency is that for me, transparency and honesty it comes second nature.
So, but then what you do is you're really opposing each one of the commissioners who were part of that, right? I mean, all of the remainders. Chris, what's his name? Chris Day. He was fully in favor of that. He made himself strong with that. He couldn't answer the question at the Goose Creek meeting. So all of them you hold accountable, correct?
Sure.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and I think the thing I'm saying is that if somebody asks me a question and I don't know the answer, you better go get the answer because like I said, if you don't have the answer, you're going down.
Well, I would assume as a representative, and if you're for economic development, that you clearly understand the issue, just like you do in the lawn business. You don't ask a question. When you sell something, you're fully aware how this works and how that functions. Well, the problem is, as you well know, if there's Richmond, Indiana with economic development, Brookville, endless buildings, empty, great infrastructure, and so forth. What do you propose for us to happen? In other words, how are we selling this? It doesn't matter if it's Goose Creek or other buildings. How are we selling ourselves as what?
Well, I think if you look at the Economic Development Partnership, I think, we have a good workforce.
We do?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we have a great workforce. It's a farm community, good workers. We have people that don't work too, just like every other community. But yeah, I think we have a very good workforce.
Well, I disagree with that. I would say Eaton, when they have to ship in people from Dayton, when nobody passes the drug test, not nobody's exaggerated, but a lot of them don't. Same problem with Henny Penny. I don't think we have a good workforce. When half the people can't spell and read and write, I don't think we have a good workforce. So that I think is
well, and maybe to answer your question.
Yeah.
I just said that a lot of people have to leave. People when the kids leave for college, they don't come back.
I understand, but when you say it's a great workforce, what does that mean? Educated workforce, can spell, and is somewhat drug-free. That's what I would assume. We don't have that.
Well, I think we do have that population that you're talking about, but I don't think that's the majority of the county. We have very successful businesses.
Well, then if you talk to larger industries such as Henny Penny, Silfex, Neaton, Timken, what do they say?
Well, I can tell you Silfex is having, we need, technical,
Sure.
more technical, and we're working on that through, I think what I would say is the kids that are graduating from high school aren't necessarily prepared to work at a place like Silfex, so we need to acknowledge that, and, and they're doing that. I think, a kid, I think a person that can go out, show up and work on time, and work a hard day is a good workforce.
That
now,
or a mule, but
I'm sorry?
That or a mule, but
yeah, well, I guess what I'm saying is if they need to know something, if they need to know how to work at Silfex, you're not born knowing how to work at Silfex. You have to be trained or educated. And I think that's...
But a good workforce makes an educated workforce. That's what everybody's looking for. That's what people are looking for if they move into the community.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with that, and I'm going to tie it into Goose Creek. I think part of the problem up at Goose Creek is they still maintain the water wells up there. So a lot of these communities have passed school income taxes on the idea that we need to show support for our schools, attracting. A lot of communities have invested in infrastructure, whether it be water systems and sewer systems, like New Paris. New Paris sits next to the state line. Lewisburg has exit 503. you have communities that are close to where this expansion or this infrastructure could be built instead of going out to Goose Creek.
Oh, yeah.
Where if they had listened to anybody or even talked to the people out there, which I'm sure they must have, they would have known that a lot of people out there did not want that, and it was a rural area. So there was really no...
Well, he agrees with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think Lewisburg, I mean, you talk about Lewisburg, I think Lewisburg
Yeah.
is a hidden gem. I think they're right along the interstate. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's,
Goose Creek,
yeah.
It was out in the middle of nowhere
Yeah.
behind the motel and the truck stop.
Oh, I'm not saying I came in at the end. I'm not saying it's the best select. I think we do need a site for economic development.
I agree.
You know, I think if you're talking about State Route 503, and I've talked to Jeff Seward, I mean, right there where the dairy twist is, I can just visually see
You just
a
wanna
ton of
throw all
restaurants
those
and
up
business. I mean, I see it along 70 is where, you know, I think they got the infrastructure, they got the village is they're a great village. I'm not saying that Goose Creek is the golden egg, if you will, but I'm thinking, you know, that
Let's move on from, can we move on from Goose Creek?
sounds good to
absolutely,
me.
but I think it's important
Yeah.
that what your point is. So,
Yeah, I'm very open-minded.
Yeah.
I think we need to, you know,
But that can't be the only issue which you decided not to run against Dave Wesler.
No,
what,
no.
Name
Yeah.
another major issue which really rubs you the wrong way, which you would have handled different or would like to handle different in the county, where we all are.
I mean, the biggest reason is management.
The what?
The biggest reason is not an issue. It's just overall management of the
Gotcha.
county.
So
You know,
financial, fiscal,
Yeah.
issue, name it. Name it.
I mean, when I look at the way decisions are made, or I'll tell you what even bothers me more than making a decision is lack of making a decision. And I think,
Okay.
you know, when I go to these meetings and it's indecisiveness because they're afraid to put their name on a line because they're getting reelected, I don't think that way. I make decisions because of what I believe in, and the facts are in front of me. I'm not if I'm elected, I will never make a decision based on getting reelected.
Okay,
That's
economic
not the.
development's job one for the county. You're sitting there. The issue, because you mentioned you had questions on Goose Creek and the landfill. You go to Lockingren, you go to Camden. For leachate lines.
Well, that's a you know, if looking at and we've talked about the history of this.
But this is
What makes the what
most
makes the most sense?
Yeah.
Going to Camden. No question asked.
Yeah.
Now, knowing what happened, and we both have talked about this, and the people that you know, there was some mistrust. You know, when it was presented to the county, it was a great idea. Well, then, you know, we get a second offer, and then the first offer drops a lot. You know, and there's a trust factor. So, you know, would I have gone to Camden?
You've gone
if-
back to Camden after you were approached from Lockingren.
If
Lockingren got the opportunity to undercut Camden without ever going back to Camden. I can remember Moreland being on the
Yeah.
line with the commissioners, begging for a meeting and never getting it.
well, I can
Dropped
tell you
it
that
dead before it ever happened.
people in the partnership think that the best place would have been to go to Camden. But there's some politics involved. Do I agree with that? No. But there was some politics and some bad energy. And unfortunately, you know, it could have been a great thing for both communities, but both communities couldn't get along.
It would have been a great thing for the county,
Oh, it'd
Camden,
be
and
great.
Lockingren, because
Yeah.
there have been jobs pops.
Yeah.
So-
But at the end of the day, knowing the whole story, you know, there was a mistrust, and unfortunately they made that decision.
In the future plans, talk about which interstate is which will circumvent the traffic around Eaton. What is that? What?
35?
Krebs is a hard working one. And 35, which will go around Eaton.
If they ever put the bypass in,
Yeah. What is your opinion about that?
honestly, I don't. It's a dream. I don't have enough information. I kind of focus on what's real now. That's a
It's
dream.
not really a dream. I mean, it's on plan.
Do you know when it's going to start?
Well, talk to Mr. Krebs.
Because I think it's a dream right now. Unless it's got a start date, it's a dream.
It's been in the works for a long time.
Yeah, it's been talked
absolutely.
about for years.
Projects like that are in the long term.
I don't know the facts. I honestly don't know. Like I said, I'm focusing more on the real issues at hand now. I think we got enough things to worry about
Yeah.
real time.
Gotcha.
We don't need to worry about, you know, what could happen in 50 years or 100 years or 200
Well, I don't
years.
think it's that long, but
I don't know. You tell me when the start date is, and I'll start researching it.
I have to put my 2 cents worth in. I'm Steve Carrasas, by the way.
Yeah, Rodney Creech, I know you.
Yeah, Rodney. I've been here about 20 years. I actually moved in, I was ambitious, I joined Dayton Inc. to figure out how different cities do things. I'm trying to restore my house, I'm trying to do this, and I'm volunteering at Whispering Christmas, and I'm trying to fit in. And I moved here because I love the old atmosphere. We had Chiracs, and we had this, and we had that. Of course, all that changed through time. We get the Walmart and everything, which is, you know, I shop there too, but anytime I need a nut or bolt, I go right down here. And the main thing that I found out from all these places that I visited, we go with Dayton Inc., we go to different towns and see what you're doing right, is the core. The core of the city has to be like some movie. Okay, you take Springboro and you take Lebanon. They filmed how many movies in Lebanon? 3, 4, 5 movies they filmed there. It's a picturesque town. Okay. When you go to the Green, which I was just there a few weeks ago, what is the Green? It's a recreation of Eaton. Okay, the core. If a company comes to town, in the core, there's no empty buildings, everything's clean, you got the old street lamps out, it looks like a picturesque town. Guess where they want to settle? They want to settle there. So we need to start working on the core first. I applaud him. I applaud you for coming down and getting beat up on, but
hey,
I applaud him for trying to stay active. She's got the place over there. We need to get these buildings. If they have to do a tax break for, you know, you give these big companies tax breaks because they're going to bring in so many jobs and blah, blah, blah. But the downtown core, they need a break. They need a break on their taxes to get these places filled out. See what they're doing, see what they're into, try not to have competition. If the core looks awesome, that's where the companies are going to come. That's where people are going to move to. You know, you go to Xenia now, you get all these empty buildings and stuff, and half the town's empty, or all these so small towns. People are moving out.
Sure.
You know, so the core, and I know you're one person, you can't change that. I mean, even if you get elected, you know, you can't change the whole thing. But the core has to be what it is. It has to be lively. It has to look good.
Yeah.
I'm all for giving them a break. I know with this, I know they need money, but it is what it is. I mean, that's where they want to move to. Like I said, the people who are keeping with it, like them, and a lot of the Wilson's Hardware. I don't know how they do it sometimes, but they do it, and that's just basically my 2 cents for that. I mean, I have my other problem with the taxes and the city. I'm so ticked off every time I go get tags. I live at 218 North Bear. I got the Victorian house for sale, but as I checked every city commissioner when our appraisals was out, their houses went down 20%, mine went up 30. So I lost, mine went up actually 50s because I didn't go down 20. Went up 30. Argued with them was like talking in the face. I cannot sell my house for what it's appraised for. I'm about 20,000 under what they appraised for. The lady that had the house up here sold for next to nothing down the road here. Houston's house.
Beautiful house.
The tags. Okay, I just bought a 1977 moped, 50cc.
This
my
one,
tags are going to cost me?
thank you. You saved me one.
What's that?
The permissive tax, license plate tax.
You know what my tag's going to cost me for a 1977 moped? About $60 because of the extra $20 that they tax me. Why did they tax me an extra $20 for tax?
Sure.
Why didn't they just
Good leeway for good.
Why
Good
didn't they
leeway
just do everybody
Yeah.
an extra $5?
Yeah.
An extra $5 wouldn't hurt. I'm really ticked off about that. I said to get tags for 2 cars. I got a motorcycle and a moped. I got to get tags for.
Sure.
You know,
Right.
it's like nobody uses my street. I live on 127. Come on. They should have done it more fairly, and there's a lot of people angry about that. It feels like we keep getting beat up. Now, if we would all work together, if we get rid of some of these slum landlords, and who knows?
These aren't county issues you're talking. This is.
Yeah, I know,
Okay.
but it's all.
I can't fix as a county commissioner. I appreciate
what you're saying.
but there's nothing as a county commissioner
Now,
that we can do.
let's go back to your permissive license plate tax, because that was an issue here just a year and a half, 2 years ago.
And I
it was a
understand.
2-1 vote.
The city, county.
Now, it's a first come, first served, so you can't really pin it all on the county. But where we're going to have an issue here is, if your opponent ever actually shows up, is he's going to claim, I voted against it. Whereas Rodney supported it. Now,
Yes.
so the obvious thing, do you still support that tax? the permissive tax, increasing the license plate fees.
Yes, I do, and I don't consider it a tax. Well, I do. It's a use tax, and I've told this story many times. If you have 4 vehicles, and that means you use the roads, and you have more vehicles. You know, the more vehicles you have, and I own a business. We have 16 vehicles. I'm gonna be paying more than most people in the county, and I'm 100% for it. If I have 16 vehicles on the road every day, I feel like I should, if I'm using the roads more, then it's a use tax. I $5 to $10.
People who live right outside the city limits are not using our road?
I'm sorry?
The people who live outside the city are not using our road?
I'm not sure.
Well, as a business, that makes perfect sense because you have multiple users.
Yeah.
But as an individual, you can't drive 4 vehicles at the same time.
Right.
There's a great difference.
But you own 4 vehicles. So
would be punished for
no, I'm not saying that. I think what we need to look at is, you know, we talked about if the streets aren't in good shape,
right,
and we don't have business. If we have junk streets and empty buildings, nobody's going to be here. We need good roads. We need dependable roads. If you had a ton of potholes out here, your business would be decreased. People's not going to drive down junky roads and tear their vehicles up.
But a phone line in a house is not, the price is not measured upon how many users use the phone. There's one line. So you can only use either a moped, a motorcycle, or a car.
Right.
A business has 60 vehicles on there, you guys got 60 drivers, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think back then the numbers was each household had an average of 1.5 vehicles per household in Preble County. So I mean, you're looking at.
That number was greatly increased by the people in that room.
What's that?
The people in that room all had far in excess of one.
Well, and again, it's who shows up.
And I'm not going to say I disagree with you on that. I think though where I may disagree is the county trying to take the tax. Twin Township has that.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And it's been a great it's been great for the township.
Local communities should have first say at it.
Yeah.
Because when they said they were going to raise it, they have to hold hearings to do so. Eaton levied it.
Yeah.
Lewisburg levied it. West Valley. A lot of these
I don't
ones
think it
that
is
levied
$20. I think they just passed it. They didn't need them.
Yeah. Well,
they just went ahead and stuck it in there. There we go.
At the county level, though, a lot of these ones that did it. Well, a lot of them come back since then because of losing local government funds, but.
It was going to generate about $400,000
and it's
for
down
the
to
county.
half that.
200 now.
Yeah.
And it could have if you charged an extra $5 for everybody
But
in Preble County.
if all government's local, the local community should have first whack at collecting that tax instead of letting the county collect it and then having to go back to the county to ask for money that was taken out of their community.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay. But I guess when I look at the permissive tax, and as a township trustee, I understand how beneficial it is to us. You know, I mean, we have 44-mile road in our township, and we have about $90,000 in our permissive tax. From all the permissive tax that we've collected at $90,000, that's still not enough to maintain. That's not enough to pave 1 mile, but it is enough to fix holes, enough to, you know, it's you're not getting rich on this permissive tax. It is very, very, very expensive to maintain roads.
Okay, so we know his position. I think we're clear.
Yeah.
For it, man, and I appreciate that.
I am against tax. I am against taxes. But the
short.
Permissive tax to me is a little different because it's a use
that's
tax.
You sound like Dave. You know, Democrats raise taxes, Republicans raise permissive fees.
It's the same thing.
I consider it.
We know your position.
I do consider it a use fee.
It's good. It's fine.
We talked about this. Jeff and I talked about this.
I have no kids with all the school tax I paid my whole life.
Let me ask you another. So the Tourism Bureau of Preble County reporting to the commissioners. How successful do you see that right now?
The CVB?
Yeah.
I think it's new. It's developing. I think the big thing is they're trying to get some tourism, which is what they're supposed to do.
Why would you put why would you put a central committee person on there, a Republican central committee person onto the CVB board? What's her connection to attracting?
Which one?
The one that's just got the endorsement for running for state central committee, Stephanie Garrett. Why is she on there?
I didn't know she was on there.
She was appointed this last.
You guys are at, I mean,
go to these meetings.
Not the CVB.
Well, that's on the commission. The commission has to approve, and remember we had this problem. The
She's not
commission
been
has to approve anybody that gets on that board. We thought
Yeah, but I've not been to the board meetings. That's what I'm
we
saying.
haven't either. Commission approves, that's how I know it.
And you're asking why did a Republican Central Committee member get put on
What's
there?
the connection to tourism?
Yeah,
Don't beat him up too bad.
honestly, I wish you guys would stick to like some issues, and I mean
Well,
these are questions that
All right, I'll give you.
Rodney, let me ask you this.
these aren't very productive questions. I'll put it that way.
We bring a lot of people to this county with this venue. A lot of people. I have a deep interest in tourism for this county.
Oh, I do too.
They do not have an interest in me. We were not listed in the tourism brochure.
The new one?
I have no idea.
There's
the
a new one
I haven't
out.
even looked at it.
That's right, there's a new one out.
I mean, I can name you 1,000 things. So the commissioners are directly responsible what the tourism bureau does. Do you agree with that?
With the convention, with the CVB, I guess what I'm saying is I wasn't in there either, and I'm a big business in the county. I don't know why I wasn't in there. But I guess those are these are questions.
Hotels.
Hey,
motel. No.
I got I offer a service.
Entertainment.
Yeah.
Not a lawn service. What would a lawn service be in a tourism brochure?
Well,
why would you have a coin shop in Vandalia on the back?
I guess my point is these are questions that I can't answer. I would rather stick to issues that count. Why are people put on boards? I don't know.
You're going to be in that role as commissioner, and you're going to be in that role.
Man, for what I'm saying is, I don't know why they put someone. His question is someone from the Republican Central Committee on that. I can't answer that. I'd rather move on to the next.
Why
question.
did they put the?
This is not being very productive right now.
No, it's fine.
Please take that.
We'll cut you some slack.
Yeah, I can't answer.
Let me ask
I would
you,
rather stick to issues and how I believe in.
Most of the
how I feel.
townships that can do so have levied a bed tax. There's 2 bed taxes, one each 3%. Twin has one property. Do you guys collect the first 3%?
Yes.
You do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's up at the Deerfield Inn.
Yes, you do collect it. All right.
Yeah, and I believe as far as the bed tax, do I believe in the CVB and what they're doing? I do. I mean, I think the big thing, we're working on an ag tourism component right now, which we did get a grant for ours for the ag side. I mean, it's marketing. I mean, when you have a business and the county is a business, you have to market yourself, or nobody's ever going to know about you. If you're a small business and you don't put flyers out, or you don't do TV commercials, or put your name in the newspaper, nobody knows who you are. So what we're trying to do is this is Preble County, this is who we are, this is what we have to offer. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Well, the part wrong is the county only collects the taxes, and there's no responsibility on the other side. So the hotels which are in this neighborhood, which we work with, where we put visitors there, where
Sure.
we put people fly in here to Boston Airport to come to a concert here, just to give you the magnitude of this. Am I right?
Yeah.
So now let me tell you, so when they collect from a hotel, they expect something in return. What is there to market? What is there to market? What is there to market?
As far as the CVB,
Yeah, what is there to market in this? Tell me 2 places which are to market.
as far as if somebody's coming in to visit,
Yeah,
I think there's tons of places to visit.
tell me some.
The Historical Society is one of them.
Okay.
I think everybody should know where the Historical Society is. I think there's a lot of, I mean, from the ag side, I can give you a list of
Okay,
20
name
people.
these. So what else?
If you want to go,
So
see,
what else?
If you want to, as far as the ag piece we're putting together, because that's the one I'm most associated with. I mean, do you realize we got up here on the hill, we have a Boulder Bell. I call it out across from Jeff. I call it the pumpkin patch. We got Tom's. We want people to say, when I come to Preble County, this is on the ag tourism component. We got a place where you can get organic eggs and honey and syrup. I'm looking at this from the ag side. Well, it's the same way.
Does the Ag Committee Society get any money from the county tourism?
At this time, no. We just got
So
to.
you're able to do that without the tax. I guess what I'm getting at.
We did it with a
all
grant.
this is-
We did it with a grant.
Well, okay, yeah, but we're
Yeah.
collecting this tax, and I don't think Houston Woods ever sees anywhere near the return of what they're collecting. Israel didn't want the tax. And this goes back to retention business. You call
Yeah.
these companies and say, what can we do to help you? Well, Israel, Houston Woods showed up, Fairfield Inn showed up, I showed up, and said, tax isn't going to help us. You're going to put us at a higher level in Oxford, a higher level in Richmond. What are we going to see in return? I don't, go to these, I'll tell you, I haven't seen anything in return.
Yeah.
I saw 2 rooms last year from
Bridges, Bikes, and Blues,
which was started before the thing. You know, there
Which
were
is huge.
things created.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of huge things. You know, there was pork festivals.
Yeah, it's huge.
Without it. You know, so
the pork festival's huge
what
for
are
the
these
county.
places seeing for return? Other
So
than
we play no role in this. I mean, Steve, you're accustomed here. We have 250 concerts a year. We have Grammy Award winners, international artists, which you would only see in major. So we play no role in this.
No, I mean that would be one place that definitely. I mean, if
But
it's
we're not in it. We're not in it.
why not?
Because the Historical Society tops everything. Every brochure, every commercial, whatever it is, it's always topped off.
Do you market?
Do I market?
Yeah, well, I mean, other than social media. I'm saying, do you think that marketing is key to a business?
Marketing is absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is that's where I'm looking at. That's where my answer is. Yeah, I think the tourism
is we had seats on that board, but when you get there and you see I can show you I know there's audio exists where some of those members don't want to be the new appointed member because one with the historical, they don't want to replace Jenny Leitner because she's the historical society. Well, Gene's with the Historical Society, okay? Jeff Stewart's with the Historical Society. You know, and this can be good or bad, but when you're sitting there with an actual venue, or with somebody like myself that's collecting this tax, and you look and you start counting the people associated with one thing.
Sure.
Why won't
You have to give
So,
them.
you know, and why, okay, let me put this, because you're going to have this opportunity, because it comes up. Why not approach Houston Woods region? They got the most money, and say, hey, why don't you take this effort over?
Yeah.
You have to give them a reason to come, though. And that's what, I think that's
And
where
that
he's
goes back to
going.
Crony Cap. No, I agree with him.
You know,
I
there's
agree 100% with him.
we get some out-of-town people. I've
Yeah.
hosted a lot for Manfred, you know, and they're spending the day. You don't have a brochure saying, there's Fort St. Clair, there's Mound Cemetery. Look at all
Yeah.
here's a map of all the covered bridges. How many places have
The
that?
covered bridges are huge.
You know, you got the Eaton
Yeah.
place, you got this place.
And we
you
do,
got-
I'll give
You
you
know,
credit, they've got a brochure on covered bridges.
Yeah.
You don't have that.
Well,
you
and
don't
look how
have
many
that to give
awesome
them. You just
restaurants
open
we
up the
have.
phone book, go, now here's here. You don't have
Yeah.
that
Well,
charm.
We got a lot of good restaurants in the county. I mean, we really
They
do.
were in the last brochure, they were not listed. And the reason given by the at that time executive director was the following: we don't include them because they go in and out of business.
Yeah. I think the
Well, that's why I asked the question.
You have-
Yeah.
You know, it's not directly a commission thing, but you do have oversight where you can
Sure.
say, hey, because you're appointing
Well,
these
they're
members.
responsible.
Yes,
Sure.
No, I agree with you.
All right.
The secret is
Next.
to get people here,
Next.
get the core done, and, you know, we got the whole county to look after.
The other one you're going to face, which you faced up at the New Pairs, electric aggregation. Economic development is basically about getting more money in the community. One of the ways to get more money in the community is lower people's costs. They have more money to spend. Twin Township hasn't passed it. If the county's picking up half the cost or more, put it on a ballot. Why haven't you guys pursued that? David is going to take credit for pushing this.
Sure. Well, and I
Rightfully
think
so.
there's a couple things there. One, when it was presented to us as a township, and don't quote me on this, it was somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000 it was going to cost our township to put it on the ballot. It could fail. So I guess are we willing as a township to invest $2,000 to $3,000 in something that may not pass? And here's something that you need to know. We actually, you don't have to be in the aggregation to get a good deal on your and I've brought this up at the county commission meetings. I guess it comes down, should the government get involved with, electric prices? At the time I thought no. Now seeing the savings, yes.
There's over 500,000 in 3 townships, and here's why they should.
Well, a lot of that was the county.
You can call around, or
Yeah.
you're going to get calls. You probably get we all get lots of calls saying, hey, we can beat so-and-so's price. The difference here is, they go out, and even as a township, if you're in a township or community that has it, they're past it, they don't have to go with that.
Right. But you still got the initial cost up front.
But you have the hammer sitting over their head saying, look, we've got this price that they're giving to umpteen, name a number of people as a group. beat it.
Well,
And if they beat it, more power to
let me
them.
just put it to you this way. There's 12 townships, 3 of them tried it, 9 didn't. And I'm part of the 9 that didn't. So,
You're the only one running for commissioner, so that's why you're.
and I still tell you right now,
Yeah.
do I want to stick
Four.
my, do I want
Four have
to,
done it.
3.
No, 4.
Who are they?
Jefferson, Dixon, Monroe, and Jackson started. it last
Monroe, are
year.
you sure? Double check yourself on that.
Wasn't that on the,
I don't think so. We'll double check yourself on that. I think there's only 3.
I think it's 4.
Okay, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about this soon. You'll give me something to research, but yeah, I think there was only 3. But still, out of 12,
Jackson wasn't on that.
if 25%'s doing it, they must not have sold it very well back then.
Well,
If it was
now-
a cut and dry deal, we would have done it. If I was guaranteed to get my money back, which I wasn't at the time, as
You're
a
gonna
township,
have to
we're
look
spending taxpayer dollars. It's kind of like Goose Creek. Are you for? You look at. Do you want to spend $3,000 and it fail and you don't get your money? $3,000 means a lot to our township.
Well, one of the things the commissioner has to be able to do is go out and convince people that something is right. One of the
If you
reasons-
believe in it.
Well, so you don't believe in the
At the
extra
time, I did not.
Okay.
And obviously 9 other townships didn't
You
either.
have to give the county commission credit for saying, hey, we'll pick up half, you guys go sell it. Because I can remember the guys standing here in the commission chamber saying, Jefferson probably won't pass it. Anybody with a large percentage of rural co-op.
Oh, yeah.
They went out and sold it.
But they also had a lot to gain. When you look at all the buildings they have, I think the county alone, I was thinking, and again, I'd have to look at that. I mean, it's huge. I was thinking the county alone saved 50. Now we're talking, if you can save $50,000, you roll the dice on that. It comes down to a small township versus,
Let's move on. Where do you stand
return on
landfill
investment is what it comes
expansion?
down to.
Landfill expansion. You for it?
Well, I think the jury's still out. We need more. We need more.
Well,
We need more
Okay,
facts.
now let me put it this way. There's a couple different expansions. There's a western expansion over an aquifer that previously was not able to be used. It has 100 gallon per minute, and they couldn't use it. Now there's apparently some exemptions where if they seek them, they might get them. That's going towards locking ground. Why would you want to build over an aquifer?
Well, I think before we talk about expansion, we need to talk about
The buildings.
working efficiently. Right now, where the problem at the landfill is not about expansion. It's about we're taking in about half as much trash a day as we should, and the taxpayers are
And I'll agree with
we're
that.
getting an assessment.
His point is, Randy Gilbert was tasked to go out 2 years ago and find us more. We started down this road 10 years ago thinking 42,000 tons. We're at 29,000. Go out and find us the difference plus some if you can. We're going from 29 or 42 up to 480. That's a heck of an exceeding. So he's the one that brought it up.
Right.
Now, that goes to when you give somebody an order, and he's an county employee, and he comes back with something 10 times greater than what you were asking him. Obviously, maybe his kids are going to be employed here. It's going to go on for, he's talking 100 years. That's not what he was asked to go to 480.
We're permitted to take in 195 ton.
Yeah.
And I think, when I was at a meeting 5-6 months ago, it was told to me that, we're running at 50% capacity. We can take in twice as much trash and not
Same amount of employees, yeah.
with the same amount of employees and the same amount of equipment. So that tells me that we have an inefficient operation. So I think that right now I don't think the talk should be expansion. I think how can we fix what's been screwed up for the last 10 years, and how do we become efficient, and it's been a very inefficient operation. So we need to...
Is that due to the current commissioners?
It's due to mismanagement from, I don't know if there wasn't a lot of oversight, but I mean, we're talking big numbers. I mean,
But point the finger, who's responsible?
That way,
Well, I think...
it's oversight. When you have an issue like a pop fund...
Stop.
Yeah.
Who is responsible?
Yeah, I think, it definitely falls back on the commissioners, I think, but what I guess I'm saying is if you have a $3.2 million budget and $1.9 million of that's coming from an assessment, you've got a problem. We're coming up 2/3 short.
Well, we
gotta figure
understand the problem, but
Yeah.
so the reason is because of the current commissioners, correct?
Well, I think, it's looking at, we don't have enough trash in this county to...
I understand.
Yeah,
The current problem are the commissioners, correct?
over the last 10 years, yes.
Okay.
They're
I
going
think-
to argue we have nothing to do with the amount of trash collected.
Well, but I think we need to look at taking trash from elsewhere
And
if we need to.
started to a long time ago. Yeah.
It's not
And that is
necess-
a commission issue, but
Yeah.
you don't have your employee go back trying to take 10 times that amount and fill it up.
Right.
The battle 10 years ago was Preble County's landfill for Preble County trash based at the 42,000.
Yeah.
Okay. They went out and they levied flow control. Flow control at the time was levied to keep it from exiting because it's so darn expensive. We have the most expensive landfill in the state. Plus we have an assessment on top of that.
Yeah.
So this thing that we don't want any coming in, that it's not going to come. You don't have to have flow
Yeah.
control stopping it from coming in. It's not going to come. It's too expensive. That's
Yeah.
why they're driving by.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting topic, I think, over the next 6 months.
How about the buildings down there? Overpriced?
Yes.
We agree.
I definitely think that if you have an inefficient operation, the last thing you need to do is spend $1.5 million on 2 buildings and scales and roads. Yeah.
And let me ask you this. The conveyance tax was passed in 2010 to pay for the Office of Economic Development. The county went into it with a 5-year, $100,000 in-kind commitment to the partnership, at the creation of the partnership. 2015, that expires. Should the county renew that commitment? Because at the time it was levied, the thought was, in fact, I think there's probably a commitment there, that it's going to be self-sustaining, should be self-sustaining in 5 years. What's your position? Should it be
Well,
renewed?
I think right now, we're starting to have some of our commitments that we have to renew. I think, the county's going to get a lot from it. Like you said, it is in kind. It's not necessarily money out of the, we're having an office that we're using, that's owned by the county.
At the time it was levied. It was levied with a condition in 5 years they'd be out of it. Now, I know Dave thinks it should continue on.
Yeah.
That 1 mil is a tax.
Right.
So, grant the people, if you're for lower taxes, here's a commitment that was out there, made prior. You're just keeping the commitment to return that tax to the people and lower
the conveyance fee. Yeah, I think, and I do agree with you on that. Where do I stand on that? I think that the partnership is very important to the community. I think the commissioners should be very supportive of that. I don't see a problem with it continuing.
Okay, so you're in favor of continuing?
Yeah, I think yes, it is a tax, but it also, when you look at what that 100,000 for 5 years.
Okay, now before Manfred gets back here,
Yeah.
Bill York, he's one of the, he has to work tonight. David regularly brings up the construction of a bike trail across northern Preble County connecting Montgomery to Wayne. There would also be a little thing going up to Dark and connecting the one up there. They have a railway bed that they bought, and they've been mining for gravel. What a lot of people didn't realize is the property that they thought was railroads was only to be railroad property as long as there's a railroad. It reverts back to the landowner at that time. So the Anderson, York families have won things getting the land back with that kids blocking east-west. Paul Beisner has property that blocks it, and he's won a court case blocking it to the north. Would you support the pursuit of a bike path trail, and how are we going to pay for it?
Well, again, I talked to you about this, and I've
Well,
actually.
I know. Bill says ask him about that.
Yeah.
And a permissive tax, which I'll agree.
Yeah, you know where I stand there. Yeah, I think as far as there was one person that I've contacted that's supposed to know everything about it. She lives out in Lockingren. You probably know what I'm talking about. I don't want to say her name on here, and I've even Facebook messaged her. I've never heard anything back. I'm trying to learn more about, and I think you've talked to me a little bit about it. But yeah, I don't understand all the details yet until this person hopefully will get a hold of me, because I told her I wanted to talk to her specifically about the bike path.
It's a good idea. Except for we still have rails, and the other place has rails too.
Well, but I think what you're talking about, should we infringe on other people's land is what
That's
you're.
what I'm talking
Yeah, I'm
about.
against
I
that anytime.
I can see the tourism aspect. Hey, it's not.
It's a great idea, but you can't take people's land. Yeah.
And that's where the up through there. And the problem that they bring up to me, and I have contact, is there's German Baptist people involved that they're not going to say anything. They may not want it, but they're not going to
Yeah, I think it's a great, you can't go on people's property, take,
But that is what happens in a lot of these cases. They'll go on vacation, they come back.
I'm against
and
eminent domain, I'm against, it's, property rights mean a lot to me, so I don't know the details of it, but like I said, I have been, at least 2 times tried to contact her, and then the other, I was told there was another person too that I needed to talk to, and he just got back from Florida. I think he knew a lot about it. It was our past county engineer, so I guess that he have quite a bit of knowledge in that area.
Who's that? Bob?
Simmons? Or not? I was told
I
that he.
couldn't tell you.
I was told that
Dave's
he.
the one that's been pushing it from Miami Valley.
And like I said, when you mentioned that on your webpage, that was the first one I'd ever heard of it.
That's
And I'd
the
been going
very
to the
first
meetings.
thing I put on here.
Yeah, and I'd been going to the commission meetings for a year, and I've never heard of it. So
Who in Preble County checks to see what kind of government money's out
What kind of
there? Is there money?
as far as
From the
grants,
government, for grants and things?
yeah, the
one
county
person
commissioner's
that does
office.
that? One person?
Technically, I'd say 1 or 2. Yeah, Kim and Connie.
Let me ask
And they
you,
do a good job.
I see so many of these counties do a lot because they find money that nobody else finds.
Can I
You
cut
got
in
this
here?
grant for
You'll
this
like
bike path, you got this for that, or you got this for historic, overlay for historic homes, or they've got the, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and there's very little money. There's not as much money out there as there used to be, but yeah, I think there is money available. I think that
It's sometimes it's digging, yes, and anything that you can get from there, sure not gonna come out of our pockets.
sure.
let me ask a final question for myself.
Okay.
Would you be in favor of hiring a business manager for the county?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of talk of that. I think it would be a great idea. I think, people will argue, I think this is a $10.5 million business.
Yeah.
And you need a, COO or, there needs to be someone, there's a,
So you would be in favor?
Retire.
Right.
What are you gonna do then?
I know.
So you would be in favor of that?
If I would need a lot of information, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of talk of it, but I think it makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
No, go ahead.
Do you want something else?
No,
to
go
take?
ahead.
No, I'm good.
Okay, he mentioned grants. And you were probably sitting there when the city of Eaton came in, said, hey, we have an anonymous donor. They want to spend up to $1 million to build a professional top-notch softball facility to attract outside tournaments, everything. They'll pay for it. Will you give us the land, or what will you sell it to us for? Now, we gave property to Kettering Medical for $1.
Yeah.
Here's a woman. We're not looking for the grant. I'm sure they gave half away. The anonymous.
I already knew it is, but keep up.
The person is going to give $1 million. Put it up. It's their money, just to do this. And I've never heard anything about it.
I actually haven't either. But yeah, I think that's an awesome.
You like that idea?
Yeah, he likes to drink.
Oh, likes to drink.
Yeah, I think it's a great. I mean, it's huge.
So if you get in
it's
there
huge.
and this comes up again, you vote for it.
Here's the thing that I like about that. The thing that I like about that is we're bringing people in.
Yeah.
I mean, bringing businesses in is huge, but bringing people in is just as
Outside
huge
money
with
rolls around.
food, gas. Maybe introducing somebody to the community that's never been here before and they fall in love with it. Yeah, I think it's great.
Those are the ones you hit up with the bridge brochures and everything.
Yep.
That's all. I'm sorry I interrupted you, Manfred.
No,
Thanks for inviting me.
you've done a great job. Thank you very much. Hard
Are you really?
work
Are you
and
just saying that?
Didn't buck out. Yeah, I'm serious. Not like a politician. You make your point very clear.
I believe in what I believe in.
Done a great job. Yeah. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you for
And he even said I sound like David Wesler. I don't know if I should. I don't know what that. What do you do? Do I punch him or do I? No.
If he ever actually shows up, he's going to point out the fact that you agree with him. So
Well, and I don't have a problem with agreeing with people, but I'll tell you the biggest difference
you
is
sound the same.
I'm not afraid to make a decision. I'm not afraid to show up to. You know how many meetings he's missed because he didn't want to make a decision. That's where I'm different. You don't have to be. I don't have to have different. I don't have to have different views. I just have to be dependable, trustworthy, and do what I say I'm going to do. That makes me different. It doesn't,
But as long as you listen to the people.
Yeah.
And you do that
It's
by
not a
showing
one-man
up
show.
like things.
And I'm doing it for the right reasons because the biggest thing that I tell people, and you can leave this on here if you want, but I'm leaving 2 successful businesses to serve my county. It's not a job. you know, if I beat David Wesler, he's going to have to he's going to put a resume out. I mean, this is been his career. I don't think it should be a career. I don't think politics should be a career.
I
hope that means something to everyone, you know.
I have to have one thing. When I first moved to this town 20 years ago, they had public television for the city commissioner meetings. You watched it on TV, and everybody was glued to that set. Commission meetings, a lot of towns do that.
Oh, if Jeff would start coming to all of our meetings, we'd be okay.
That way people know exactly what's going on, and they're going to vote for it the next time.
Yeah.
Guess what?